Welcome into the Chasing Trails podcast, brought to you by St. John Trail Running and powered by Resilience Through Fitness. Join two middle-aged dads as they sit down and talk trail running, life, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Jeff LeBlanc and Brandon Thompson. Welcome in, everybody. We're back with another episode of Season 3 of the Chasing Trails podcast. Jeff and Brandon here with you. Thanks so much for tuning in or watching wherever you are. Maybe you're listening to us on your long run, or maybe you're sitting at the office trying to, sneak in a YouTube watch while it's work time, or maybe you're just driving in your car and listening to us on Spotify or Apple, whatever it is. Thanks so much for taking the time to check us out. Jeff, how you making out, man?
Good. I wonder if we have the same drain on productivity every Friday morning that the Masters had on,
I'm sure.
on productivity last weekend. Huh? I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
What an amazing Masters, though, FYI. This isn't a golf podcast, but the Masters was amazing. I watched Sunday. It was crazy.
Like everyone knows who listens to the show that last year I started golfing fairly regularly, and I suck at the sport, but I kind of fallen in love with it a little bit. Not like hockey. Hockey's still my main gig, but I've never actually really watched golf until I watched the new TGL, which was like indoor golf simulator.
Yep.
And I watched Tiger and his friends do that. And I got quite invested. I watched almost all of them and had a lot of fun watching that. And then I've never watched golf. I watched the Masters this last weekend, and man, I tell you,
it's amazing.
Nothing better than go for a long run and then lay on the couch all afternoon watch the Masters when it's that good. It was so good. Yeah.
I'm like you. I rarely watch golf, but I will watch the Masters every year. I mean, part of it is the course. I just love watching people on the course, and it's got some really fun traditions, and so I enjoy that quite a bit. And it's Sunday. There's always like a little bit of drama, and poor Rory, that guy's made out of glass. He just crumbles at the least bit of pressure.
Oh man,
and
I was
for sure thought he was going to choke it all away.
Yeah, I was cheering for Bryson super hard.
Oh, were you? I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, he didn't play well on Sunday. I love his YouTube channel, and I like his attitude. I don't know. I'm not a big Rory fan. I find him to be a little bit stuck up and doesn't high five the fans and just kind of like walks by like, yeah, I'm the man. And he is. He's an excellent golfer. But I'm one of those golfers who don't really respect the professionalism of the game.
You're a Happy Gilmore kind of golfer?
Yeah, I'm a Happy Gilmore golfer. I want to have fun. I'm loud on the course, as I'm sure people can figure out. And so, I'm probably the not well-liked golfer of the group. So Jackson Jones will listen to this, and he'll have a little less respect for me. But anyway, training's going pretty good. I was away for work for the last part of last week, and then came home Saturday and Sunday. Usually I do my long runs Friday, Saturday, or like that heavier part of our training plan that we're working through. But I did end up on Saturday getting the interval tempo runs done. And then on Sunday, I spent 2.5 hours on a treadmill because
isn't the worst? Oh, it sucks so bad.
It does suck. I find it manageable and it's nice that I can control the elevation and do what I want to do that way. So I have been enjoying the treadmill a little bit. I wanted to be outside, but the weather sucked and there was no trails to run on, and my ankle was sore. So I was like, wow, I better hit the treadmill just to give you that little bit of padding that you won't get on the road, right? The trails up here in Fredericton are still garbage. There's ice and snow everywhere. So so I got on the treadmill and I watched G.I. Joe. The second one
nice.
With The
Rock. Channing Tatum and The Rock,
yeah. So as I watched that, and then I I finished the run with some other show that I was watching. So if I have a TV on in front of me, generally speaking, I can stay on the treadmill for a really long time at like a low, easy level of endurance. I can just trot along and not worry about it. So it's not been bad. So. Yeah.
Wow. And I also, like you, have been on the treadmill quite a bit, more so than I think my entire life. Like I'm probably, I can count on one hand the amount of times I was on a treadmill last spring, and this year it's been pretty steady. Shady Grove was open for one day last week, and then it rained, and so that was the end of that. Everything got closed again, so I wasn't able to get out on any trails, but. Hopefully they'll start to dry out. Rockwood Park's starting to dry out quite a bit, so I might do that and try and get lost in there again like I normally do. But it's been funny. Like I think for me this season, this block of training has probably been the hardest for me getting back into it again. But I've been the most supported in my running that I've ever had. So I've had more people checking in on me, more people encouraging me, and so it's been rough, but it's been fun too at the same time because you're really getting a lot of people cheering you on. So
Right.
I
And
think
I was thinking about you on my long run a little bit, and I was thinking, I should mention to Brandon, like, this is really the first set of like longer distance running that you've done where you've also been doing a lot of weightlifting through the winter and leg days, and that makes a big difference. But you'll notice a big difference in your strength when you do get to the actual races and stuff. But it's it slows you down a little bit too, because you just
dead
right,
legs.
and you do build muscle, you build strength, you have more mass. So at the end of the day, you're going to be a little bit slower than maybe you're used to. But I feel like there's a point where it's going to pay off to do that weight training and to get that strength under you. So, this is kind of your first set at like, yeah, you're a little slower, but you also did leg day on Monday and then tried to run, a 10-kilometer run on Wednesday. Right. So, that's the difference. Probably a lot of what you're seeing. I don't lift 2 weeks before the race. So whatever Devin's got you doing, not that I'm a pro, maybe he'll have a different idea for you, but I would probably, stop lifting at least with leg days 2 weeks before Rockwood for sure. So we're 5 weeks out, buddy. 5 weeks.
I know, it's crazy. So for the lifting and stuff, that's starting to dial back. So now it's like I just have 2 days where I'm doing some like squats and goblet stuff and all that kind of jazz, and then the rest is all running. So it's been a little bit easier, but so anyways, I'm encouraged by it. I think it's good. I mean, 50 kilometers still seems like a wild distance, but it's like running on the treadmill for 2.5 hours, right? You just gotta take off chunks at a time. And so we'll keep pounding away at it and
That's
try
right, man. The strategy this year is not to be fast, just to stay well fed and just well hydrated and just finish so that I actually get points towards the series. Because if I don't finish, I get nothing. So like that's the worst. You end up running 25K, or you say you run 30K and you bail halfway because you bonk out because you didn't eat properly.
Yeah,
like that's gonna be the worst. You spend
for nothing.
10-12 weeks training. More than that, really. We've been training since January. Really, we kind of jumped on a training plan, 12 weeks out. But realistically, training for 5.5 months, and then for nothing, just for a DNF. I mean, that's fine too. I've already got a couple of those though, so I don't need any more of those.
On this course, no less.
That's right. Technically, only one on this one. Yeah,
that's right.
Because the other ones I was registered for the 25, so technically I did complete them. But yeah, no, for sure, right? So it's I don't want to not complete it. So it's not it's not about being fast. It's just about staying fed. And I've been getting a lot of encouragement from Adam and convincing me to eat more while I'm running, and so I think it's been helping a lot. At least my gut will be able to handle the food. But part of it's just remembering to do it. I just get in this trance where I'm just running, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm an hour in and I haven't had anything to eat yet. So
right. Did you ever think you get to a point where someone would have to convince you to eat more food?
No, man. I've always eaten.
It's like, of all the things that this would be what you would have to work on. I mean, I never would have guessed this one.
Yeah. Adding up your calories to make sure you have enough. That's never been a problem. I've always had too many. As you can tell, I'm usually I'm not in a deficit very often.
Right.
Yeah. Except for when I'm running, apparently. So. Yeah.
Man, do you know what? Do you know what makes you feel good? Is if you go weigh yourself after a run. Like, that is the best time to go weigh yourself. You have no water. Like, you're just like as dry as a bone, and you just go right where you're like, oh yes, this is what it feels like. I mean, it's just so wonderful to just see the scale. And then you go back the next morning, it's like, boop, right back up again.
But do it in August.
That one little section, you're like, oh, this is it. I've reached my goal. It was
the Mecca. Yeah. Do it in August when it's 35 degrees and warm. Just go for a little 5K and then come back and weigh yourself. Just be amazed.
Yeah. Actually, go to the bathroom, Go for a run.
Don't drink any water.
Don't drink any water, and then go weigh yourself,
Right.
and you'll be like, I'm ready to go.
You'll have complete heat stroke and probably half die, but that's not the point.
Hashtag worth it. Anyway.
Yeah, my big problem with the hashtag weigh scale is that I wouldn't be able to see the numbers when I was standing on it. I'd have to get off and they disappear before I got a picture.
That's right. Yeah, isn't that wild? Like mine is like, do you even try to do this? I try and like shift my weight on the scale to see where I get the lowest weight.
I don't think there's any benefit in that, Brandon. But
well, it's like a mental game, right? Like if I lean to the left a little bit, it'll go down like 0.3, and then I'm like, hey, that's it.
We should give courses to the UFC guys so they can figure out how to skip the scale a little,
Just you ever see them wear those sweat bags and stuff like that? Those are crazy. How is that healthy for you? I don't think it is, but the stuff they got to do to cut weight, I guess, is wild. But anyway, before we get to our guest, way off topic. We've got a great guest. We've got a great guest today. We're really excited to introduce Sachin Latti. And but before we do, it'd be great if you could help us out, listeners, just by either liking and subscribing our YouTube, or leaving a review, or following us on Spotify. That just kind of gets the algorithms working for us. And we'd appreciate that, just to kind of get the word out. If you don't like the podcast, that's okay. You don't have to do it. We're not asking you to do something you don't want to do. But if you do like it, if you like what we're doing, or like part of what we're doing, you can give us, a review or leave us a follow or whatever. That
even if you just think we're comedic and funny, that's fine.
Right.
You don't have to like the running content. You can think that's horrible.
No, that's right. I mean, half the time the running content is like mediocre until we get a guest on.
Yeah.
And then we have like some pretty good content.
Like Satch,
Yeah, man. So this guy is amazing. So if you haven't heard about Satch yet, we got introduced to him through one of our sponsors, Devin, and he was talking about this guy who was running across Canada. And he said, listen, you got to have him on the podcast. And we're like, yeah, okay, whatever. So we went and looked on his website. And some of the stuff he's done already before he's run across Canada is just unbelievable. And he'll talk about that in the interview that we have with him. 60 kilometers for 60 straight days. Like, that is wild to me. And his goal to run across Canada in, 75 days is just an unbelievable.
100 kilometers a day.
Just an unbelievable, mark. And I think even just hearing his story, hearing, his heart for what he's trying to do and accomplish is something that's inspiring. If you checked out our Instagram page, you saw a reel that we shared where he just talks about, what's your why? And I think if we had a chance to talk about that later on, Jeff, that would be a great conversation for another whole podcast episode. Sure. Like, why are we doing these things? And it's a great question. And so anyways, we're thrilled to be able to have him. You can check out his website, Satch in Motion, and it lays out all of what he's doing. You can track what he's doing as he runs across Canada in June. You can track his progress. You can donate to the charities that he's raising money for. And it's just really a chance for us to get behind what he's doing. And the causes that he's supporting are phenomenal. Going from veterans to men's health, mental health, to kids play, just to be able to get them into sports. And so that's what we kind of want to help and get behind. And so we're excited to have a conversation with Sachin Latti, and we hope that you enjoy it. All right, everyone. We are thrilled to welcome into the Chasing Trails studios Sach Latti. It's fantastic to have you with us, Sach. We heard about you first through our common friend Devin Kennedy, and so we were talking about people we needed to have on the show. That's right, and he said you got to have Sach on. You've got to bring him on the show, and we were so glad that it was able to work out for you to join us. So thanks so much for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for reaching out. And man, I always like hanging out with people and having chats. So Let's do it.
Fantastic. Let's do it. Um, First thing we always do at the beginning of an interview with a guest or just having someone on the show is we just love to hear your story. We want to hear your we usually include a running story, but your story goes beyond running, and so we'd love to just hear more about you. Can you just share a little bit of your story with us and the listeners?
Yeah, sure, man. I started running 5 years ago in 2020, and I started because of, I guess, a bunch of different reasons. I was going through a separation, I was going through a divorce, 18 years in law enforcement, pandemic starts kicking off, and I wasn't doing good, man. Like mentally, I was struggling a lot, and I ended up having some mental health issues that precipitated a major depressive episode.
Mm.
And so that kind of freaked me out a little bit because 18 years in law enforcement, I wasn't, I thought I had my stuff together and I thought I was,
Mm.
no issue or in handling things, but, kind of plugging away most of my life without addressing things. And then life told me, hey, you better address some things. So, so in 2020, I started running to help with my mental health. I wasn't a runner. I was a bodybuilder, jiu-jitsu guy, and hadn't ran probably since high school. Like really ran since high school, and I started running when I was 42, so I'm 47 now. And so yeah, that I started small, started running a little bit here and there, and then after a few months, I set goals for myself, and as I set those goals, I achieved those goals, and I never thought in a million years I could run a half marathon. So I thought, hey man, what else could I do? So that's kind of what was the process, right? Like I hit a
Yeah.
goal, and look, I wasn't doing races, man. I was just kind of just testing myself. I had no, and this was during the pandemic, so there were no races to be had. So I
Right.
was just kind of, okay, let me see if I can run 21K. And after work, I'd go out for a few hours and come back, and didn't feel great because I'd never done that before, and but what I did feel good about was how I felt after in terms of what that did for me from a confidence and self-worth perspective. Because I was
Mm.
struggling a lot with my mental health and I needed to find ways to kind of get myself out of it. And so that's kind of what started the journey. And fortunately for me, I like to set goals and I like to get them.
Yeah.
So so I kept setting those goals, and then probably like, let's say in February of 2021, I was probably, I don't know, 8, 9 months into my running journey, and I was probably running in and around 70 kilometers a week at that point. And then I heard a podcast that freaking blew my mind. I was listening to Cameron Haynes on a Rogan podcast. And Cameron Haynes is an ultra endurance athlete. I'm sure you guys know, and he's a trail
Yeah.
runner. And I heard he was talking about how he was training for the Moab 240. And during those training months, he would basically run a marathon a day, ran a half in the morning, go to work, and then run a half in the evening. And I didn't even knew people did that, man. I didn't know. I didn't think that was a thing. I didn't even know there were races like that. I like no freaking clue. Like it was so out of my wheelhouse. But I was inspired by that, and I was like, man, I want to do something like that. I said it to myself, obviously. I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And so after I heard that podcast, I said, okay, let me see if I can run a half marathon every day. And so I kind of created a plan for myself to, run a half every single day. But I started at 11 kilometers. So I was at 10 kilometers a day, right? For, each day for a week, kind of what I built up
Yeah.
to. And I said, okay, let me see if I can progressively increase that over a 10-week period. And each week I would add a kilometer to each day. So it would go 11, and then a week later 12, and then kind of kept going up, and eventually got to a half marathon a day, whilst I was still at work. And I was a canine handler towards the end of my career, so still running the dog and doing the whole 9 yards. And look, they weren't amazing halves, but I did them.
Right.
And for me, after I did that, I never thought in a million years I could run like 150K in a week. And I wasn't a runner, or at least what people would think, oh, I'm not a runner or whatever it is. So that kind of opened my eyes to what's possible. And
Hmm.
then I just kept kind of plugging away. And then eventually I started seeing how it was helping me from a mental perspective. And obviously from a physical perspective, but mostly from a mental health perspective. And then I thought, okay, man, let's see if I can leverage what I'm doing for positivity. So obviously during the pandemic, there was a challenge for during Remembrance Day for funds being raised for the Poppy Fund.
Right.
And, you know, I think it was a good 2 years, the Poppy Fund got no money because they received money from in-person donations for the
Right.
week or a
Yeah.
few weeks in advance of the Remembrance Day. So I knew that, and I thought, hey, man, maybe I'll just raise some money for the Poppy Fund and donate money to veterans and first responders with occupational stress injuries and PTSD.
Mm.
So November 7th, 2021, I ran from a town called Chilliwack, BC, to the Vancouver airport. And that's 100 kilometers. And I ran that in just under 15 hours. It was all road running. It wasn't like in the trails or anything like that. And raised $21,000 that day. And
Wow.
yeah, so, you know, that kind of changed my life. It
Yeah.
gave me a perspective change in how I wanted to move um, with the rest of my life. Like I was kind of at a point in my career in law enforcement where I was disillusioned, and I suffered a couple mental health injuries in the workplace, and then I thought, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. Let me figure out how I can do this.
Mm.
And when I say this, I mean, you know, mental health advocacy, and running, and training, and having fun. And so that's kind of what I just started doing. And then, you know, year after year, I would do a challenge after a challenge. 2022, I ran 9 ultra marathons in 9 months and raised 16K for charity. And then the following year after that, in 2023, I ran 22 consecutive marathons in a row across the province of BC. So I ran from Revelstoke to Victoria and raised 20,000 in those 22 days.
Wow.
And then in last year, I ran 3,600 kilometers in 2 months. So from June to August, I ran 60 kilometers a day for 60 days, and we raised
Yeah. Wow.
$25,000 for 25,000 for charity. And then so each year, I progressively improved both from a physical perspective, mental perspective, performance, nutrition, like all the things that are associated with this kind of space.
Mm.
And now it's gearing up for me. June 16th, I'll be kicking off from Victoria, running all the way across the country to St. John's, Newfoundland. And we're going to be trying to run, well, the goal is to run 75 to 100 kilometers a day until I'm done, and raise a shit ton of money for charity.
Fantastic.
So that's who I am. That's who I am.
We're going to get into the run across Canada here in a minute. But I wanted to ask you, and as much as you feel comfortable sharing, what is it about running that has helped your mental health? What is it about it specifically that's kind of helped you deal with some of that stuff?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can unpack that a little bit for you, though.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so I've learned from friends, books, podcasts, mentors that exploring or engaging in activities that you don't want to do voluntarily will actually help you from a mental capacity perspective. So there's a part of the brain that expands over time when you consistently engage in things you don't want to do. Now, it doesn't have to be running, but, you know, one of the things I don't like to do every single day is running.
Right.
And so for me, it's increased that part of the brain, which has given me more resilience, more willpower, and more confidence, all the things. So for example, things that would have bothered me 5 years ago aren't even a blip on my radar now.
Mm.
And so now I can unpack it even further. When you see yourself or observe yourself do things that you never thought in a million years you could even achieve, that does something to you.
Right.
That changes you. And that, at least for me, it does, or did. And I suspect anyone else on the planet, if they see themselves achieve something that they never thought they could ever achieve, it'll make them feel better about who they are. And for me at the time, I had a low self-worth, no confidence. I felt terrible about a lot of things. And running and consistently running. So if I was just running 5K every day and whatever, probably not. But for me as a person, I need to freaking do things, man. And I
Yeah.
need to push my envelope to see what I'm capable of. So for me, I need to see that range. And once I'm able to understand that range of performance or challenge, what I can handle, makes me
Mm.
feel good.
Mm.
So fundamentally, I think that's how it makes me feel better.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. How do you think your background with, jujitsu and bodybuilding, have they helped at all with any of the mental toughness that you need to have to run for 60 kilometers a day? Has that helped kind of build a foundation for what you're doing now, or is that just a piece that you've kind of left behind?
I think anything difficult that you do always helps you do something else that's difficult,
Right.
right? So, um, jujitsu, bodybuilding, um, negotiating, um, difficult conversations, studying, going to school, like anything that's hard prepares you for the next hard thing.
Mm.
So I think people isolate things too much and they don't really look at the everything that they've done in their life and they think, oh, there's 100 kilometers. I can't do that because I've never done anything hard. The reality is anyone can do it because everyone's done hard things. They just might not recognize that they've done hard things.
Right.
So, yeah, I've done jujitsu. Yeah, I've done bodybuilding, and yeah, they've helped. In terms of like consistency and training programs and nutrition. But the reality is, life is hard, man.
Yeah.
Life ain't easy, and having kids ain't easy, and doing all the things going through a divorce ain't easy. But if you're able to do all those things, man, running 100K ain't that hard. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it really isn't. It's just perspective. And
Right.
so for me, I think I don't put myself in any pedestal. I don't put myself above anyone else at all. Um, I think anyone can do exactly what I'm doing, if not better, if they spent the time, as much time as me doing it.
Mm. Yeah. Um, with the run across Canada. All right. So that's not a small challenge. That's something hard. So walk us through what you're doing to prepare for that. What does training look like to run across Canada? What's your routine? What are you doing for recovery? Give
Mhm.
us some of the nuts and bolts around it.
So I guess I would have to push back with a question to you is like running across Canada. I guess the question would be, um, what's my training look like for the way I plan to run across Canada?
Right. Sure.
Because, someone could run 10K a day and run across the country,
Yeah.
right? So the question is, how much am I going to be running every single day?
Mm,
So the goal is to run an ultra every single day. And we're
right.
looking at 75 to 100 kilometers every single day. And now for training for that, it's approximately 7,500 kilometers across the country. And it's approximately 7 or 8 times summiting Mount Everest vertical gain.
Wow.
So it's a lot. And most of that vertical gain is in BC and Alberta,
Right.
right? So I'm running in and around 200 and 250 kilometers a week right now, and in preparation for that. Now the reality is it's kind of hard to train for something like that because it's not a normal thing to do.
Right.
So how does one train for that? I guess it's over 4 or 5 years of testing myself, training in different modalities, pushing myself in various different environments, and then trying to understand what my left or right of arcs are, or my range of um, what my range is, so that I
Mhm.
can properly figure out with support coaches and whatnot what's the right amount of kilometers I need to run. So yeah, we're and obviously I've spoken to other people. Dave Proctor, who has the speed record to run across Canada, is a buddy of mine that I've had conversations with, and he was running approximately 250 kilometers a week in his training to break the record for the fastest run across Canada, where he ran 106 kilometers a day for 67 days, 10 hours. So having people like that in my circle where I can have conversations with is helpful. And in terms of understanding what I need to do. My running coach's name is Ron Lowen. He's also tapped in with a bunch of different people and understands performance and training at a very scientific level. And so he's helped program my training protocol. But to answer your question, I'm running approximately 250K a week for running.
Right. Right. So will you take, what do your rest days look like? Does that like involve, massage? Do you have, do you go into the hyperbaric chambers, grab those fancy leg compression boots and stuff like that? Or what does it look like?
Yeah, I think, you know what, man? I think, the fundamental thing that I need to really dial in is sleep, right? Sleep is the number one recovery protocol above all else. So if you can get really good sleep, you might not need all the other things as much.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I go to physio? Absolutely, I go every week. Do I go to get massage? Absolutely, I go every week. Do I use Normatec compression pants? Yeah, I use them after long runs. So if I'm running a 50 or 60K run, I'll come back home and use them for an hour and kind of do that. Fortunately for me, I've been at this for a few years now that I've made pretty good connections and with various different people. And as we're leading up for the run across Canada, we are engaging with various different companies to sponsor. So I think I'm getting a sponsor for a cold plunge. So I'm getting one dropped off in the next week or two.
Nice.
So I could start, utilizing that. And I might even bring it with me for the run because it's going to be quite hot. And, if for recovery to begin, the body has to be cool, right? So I want to be able to cool down my body as fast as I possibly can so I can begin the recovery protocol. So I think having the cold plunge with me might be helpful for that. But overall, man, I don't do a ton of crazy things like in terms of recovery. I eat a lot. I'm hydrated or as much as I can be. So I try to minimize or mitigate all my stressors. So the last couple of weeks have been pretty stressful for me with behind the scenes kind of things going on, meetings and trying to figure out who's cool, who's not cool, who wants to help, who doesn't want to help, all that kind of stuff. But now I've kind of cleaned that up a little bit. So I feel like the next few weeks are going to be pretty dialed in because the stress levels should be mitigated to a certain degree.
Right. As you think about the run, have you, and maybe this is the wrong kind of question, but I'll ask it and then we can see where it goes from there.
Sure, man. Yeah.
But what do you think is going to be the hardest thing? I mean, you're running across Canada, but what do you think is going to be the hardest thing about running across Canada? Have you thought about that at all?
I mean, I try not to. Okay, this is how I framed it, man. Let's say if we look at it from 75 to 90 days and around there, right? I expect day one to be a shit show all the way to the last day.
Right.
I'm not expecting any good days.
Right.
like how someone might assume a good day is, right? And if there are good days, then cool, it's a bonus, man. I'm going into this. Okay, so I have a friend of mine, mentor, whatever you want to call it. He's a retired special operator from JTF2. It's Canada's Tier 1 sniper, the whole thing, right? And he's told me some stories about this course that he was on when he first joined the military called the Pathfinder course. And Pathfinders are an elite unit in the Canadian Army. That when he did it, it was like a 70-day course. And it was 22 hours of constant oversight, pressure every single day, relentless, getting your ass handed to you, all that stuff. So I'm looking at this like my Pathfinder course. I'm expected to get just pummeled every single day. It's going to be no days off. It's going to be hard as heck. I'll likely be broken and cry and all those things. But I want to show that to people. I want to show authenticity and the reality of doing something like this. You had mentioned our friend, or a buddy of mine, Ryan Keeping. He ran across the country last year.
Yeah.
And he did an amazing job. But he made it look easy.
Yeah.
The reality is it wasn't. And I want to show people what the reality is. It's not going to be easy, man. Anybody who says running that much is easy or it didn't bother them or it's hunky dory every single day is lying to you.
Right.
It's hard, man. And I think that's where the gold is. I want people to see that. I want people
Yeah,
to
man.
see it's not easy for me, man. It won't be easy. And why do I want people to see that? So people know that they can do it too.
Right.
I'm not special, man. I'm not special whatsoever, and I refuse for people to think that. I'm just a dude who's spent 5 years every single day obsessed. And I think anybody can achieve anything if they spent many, many years obsessing on a thing and going all in.
Yeah.
So that's my message. My message is
Right.
like anybody can do anything that they want to if they really go all in.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. I was thinking about the discipline that would be required to do a lot of this. I mean, there's training discipline, obviously, and then there's also the mental discipline that you're going to have as you say, like it's going to be hard. Um, I was thinking about is there as much as we can grow our physical muscles, is there a way to grow in our discipline, like in disciplining our mind? I mean, because some people just that's one of the hardest things is being able to just overcome some of those thoughts in their head that say you can't do this or that you're not trying hard enough or that self-talk that's often so negative. Any tips on that? Like how do you begin to cultivate that kind of disciplined mind that allows you to the David Goggins stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
um any tips on that?
That's a great question, man, because I think that's a super important question that for people to understand. I hear the same voice as you do.
Yeah.
Every single day I hear it, man, in my head. Every single day.
Mm.
When I first started this journey, I was a bodybuilder, man. Like, I mean, I was jacked. I was huge, right? And I started running in my head. I was like, man, you're not a freaking runner. For 24 hours every single day, it was in my head. Who the hell do you think you are? You can't do this. What are you talking about? I still did the thing.
Yeah.
So now how was I able to still push through? Because that's not easy, man, to ignore those thoughts. And it doesn't feel good. So how did I do it? Well, it comes down to purpose and reason, why, all those things. And if your purpose or why isn't significant enough, you're not going to do anything.
Right.
So, for example, people say, "Oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to stop drinking, or I want to stop smoking." Cool, man. Why? Because people say it, they don't answer that question.
Mm.
So now, once you answer the question why, dig deeper. So for me, my reason to run across Canada isn't for me. I don't give a fuck, man.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. It's about raising money for other people to help them. So for me, I can put myself through a lot of things if it's not just about me. If it was just about me, I wouldn't be
Right.
doing it. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
doing it.
sure.
Like honestly, I'd be like, what? Why? I don't get paid. I don't get a salary. I don't get a lot of things out of this other than, tired every single day and I got to pay a lot of money for food. Right? So, there isn't really, like a tangible positive. I mean, I can articulate positives for myself, but for someone who is looking at it externally, they'd be like, well, where are the positives? The
Yeah.
positives that I get to inspire somebody, maybe, and maybe their life gets to be a bit better or they get to do something that they never thought they could do. That's awesome. Maybe I can raise a few bucks to help somebody so they don't kill themselves, or maybe they can get some treatment, or maybe they can a kid gets some after school programming or something like that. So if I think of those things, then after I'm done this podcast, I'm okay to run 20 more kilometers. Now, if I didn't have those things, I'd be like, I'm gonna chill, watch some TV, and go to bed.
Mm.
So something is keeping me going, and that's my purpose. So I think fundamentally it comes down to that. And
Yeah.
then when my purpose is so strong, then I can ignore those voices. They're just voices, whatever. Get lost. Peace out. See you later. They're just voices. You start turning down that white noise in your head, right? And then over time, as you keep moving in the direction that you need to go to, that voice gets quieter, quieter, quieter until you become the person that you set out to be. So for me, all I've been doing is trying to be the person that I've always wanted to be. It just takes time to get there. So I think really that for me is everything, to be able to
Yeah.
share that with people. Man, all you need to do is ignore the voice. Keep doing the thing. I'm not special. You can do the exact same thing and see what happens.
Right. Oh, that's I mean, that why is so important, right? Like, it all starts with why. Um, that's really helpful. Thank you. Um, what's been the most surprising or inspiring response that you've gotten from the community, whether it's from first responders or the frontline workers, those kind of things, to some of your initiatives? What can you share some of those feel good stories when you tell people, hey, listen, we've raised some money for you? Like, how's
Yeah,
that
man.
feel for you?
Honestly, every single day is a good day, man.
Yeah.
There's always something cool that comes out of this that I never thought in a million years. I never thought, like this right here. I never thought in a million years anyone would want to talk to me about anything.
Right.
Like honestly, right? You're all the way in freaking Nova Scotia and I'm in BC and we're having a conversation. That's pretty freaking cool, man.
Yeah, it is pretty
So
sweet.
so for me, I mean that's a cool thing, just that alone. But then, I can give you countless stories of things that have impacted me so much from this process of how I may have impacted somebody else. That ripple effect is crazy, man. Like
Mm.
just off the top of my head, a few months ago, I went to this drug facility. It's called the Together We Can. It's a charity that supports men with addiction, and it's the largest nonprofit for men addiction in all of Canada, and it's based here in Vancouver. And I went there to kind of share my story, have a chat, and it was about, I don't know, 30, 40 guys in there, and they were all um, new to treatment. And so they were in the hurt locker, man. They were
Right.
they weren't doing so well, right? And all I was there was not trying to tell them what to do. I was just sharing my experience and my story to them, not above them or anything. And towards the end of the talk, there was one young man who was there. He started asking me questions. Young guy, maybe about 28. He started asking me some questions, and I was answering them honestly. And afterwards, I left, and that was the end of it. I didn't even think of it again, right? Until a few months later. A few months later, I went to go to a breathwork session with some friends, and some of the friends were some of the people that worked at that facility, like either in the caseworkers or things like that, right?
Mm.
And then after that, we went to dinner, and that kid was there, right? And he started talking to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I've been clean since that talk."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" And I mean, it almost brought me to tears, man. Like he was a young kid, 28 years old, right? And I don't even know what I said that impacted him so much to where he's like, I've been clean. And he's been, as far as I know, clean since. And, a week after that dinner, he joined me for a 15K run. And a few weeks after that, we were doing some promotional work for that charity, which will be coming out on the platforms soon on YouTube and various other things that I'll be posting it up. But he was there helping out. And
Very cool.
so, who knows? Maybe he'll be with me as I run across the country. But little things like that, man. Like I never thought, and I shouldn't even say that. It's not a little thing. That's a big thing, right?
Right.
And I think those things have happened so many times. I can give you I can keep going with stories like that, man. It's just
Yeah.
and to be honest, I don't even know. Um, I don't know how to feel about it. It feels good, but it's like I don't know, man. It's very humbling.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of puts you in a position where you're just really grateful for the opportunity to speak into people's lives. I mean, with that comes a huge responsibility, right? And so you got to be humble if you're going to approach those things. And so
For
I
sure.
appreciate you demonstrating that and being an example of that.
Appreciate it, man.
Um,
Thanks.
okay. Last question. This is probably maybe one of the most important questions we'll ask in this whole thing.
Sure.
If there's someone who's listening to this podcast, maybe they're struggling with their mental health, maybe they're suffering in silence, maybe they've just said, I'm I'm in this on my own, or there's nothing that can be done to help me, what would you say to encourage them? What would you say to them? They're listening to you right now. What are the words that you would share with them?
The reality is you aren't alone. There are so many resources out there that can help. And man, you can DM me. Like, I mean, if someone needs to DM somebody, DM me, I'll listen. And I think, look, I was you, the person who I'm talking to right now. I was you not too long ago. I felt like there was no one there. I felt like I was alone. I felt like um, my life sucked and there was no way out. But if I can get to a place where I feel pleased with the direction my life is going and pleased with whatever the outcome is going to be, anybody can do it.
Mm.
So my what I want to say is reach out, man. Reach out to anybody. There are tons of resources. If you don't have them, Google them. If you can't Google them, DM me and I'll send you some resources.
Yeah, very cool. So why don't you share ways that we can find out more about what you're doing? We can follow you on Instagram, obviously,
Mhm.
but YouTube,
Yeah,
Satch
man.
in Motion,
Yeah.
right? That's your website.
Yeah.
Where can we get a hold of you?
So the new website should be up in about a week, and I must say it looks pretty swish. We
Nice,
got a media company called Stealth Media that donated their time to create it, and it's a
amazing.
fancy pants website, man. And it'll be up in about a week. Everything will be there. My route will be there. Live tracking will be there. Live tracking of donations will be on it. There'll be an email funnel. So if anyone wants to join me at any part of any time across the country, drop in a name. We're going to be also, if anyone wants to volunteer, by all means, drop in an email. We'll be reaching out to people if they want to do that. If someone wants to donate, also on the website, there'll be a donation section where people can donate. You'll get a tax receipt for it. So we're a nonprofit, so any donations that are made, you'll get a Canadian tax receipt. Also on my Instagram, such.in.motion, and everything's on there. You'll see all the silliness that I get up to, and in my bio, you'll see the link tree of various different things. So the donation link are there, tickets to a gala that is happening May 9th in the Vancouver area. That proceeds will be going to my run as well. And I'll be receiving an award that evening, and I'll be speaking that night. And yeah, just also YouTube, Such in Motion, TikTok, Such in Motion, LinkedIn, the Such in Motion Foundation. So pretty much all platforms. Anybody can find me. If you can't find me, Google me. You'll see something come up.
Right.
And I think what I'm really looking forward to is not just this run, because this is the beginning of a movement that I'm trying to create over the
Mm,
next number of years. And look, I'm no Terry Fox, man. I'll say that right off the bat. I'm no Terry Fox, but I absolutely can walk in his footsteps a little bit. And the way I see it, he raised awareness and funds for cancer research. I'm just trying to do something similar because I think our modern day cancer is the mental health crisis.
mm,
So the run happens, and after the run, that's the start line. I have so much
right.
more to give and so much more to come. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes that are exciting, and I can't wait till I start the run, complete the run, and continue the journey.
Amazing, amazing. And what organizations will the donations be going to for your run across Canada?
Yeah, I selected a few different charities. One of them is called the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. It's a national charity that supports men with mental health and physical health, pretty much all things related to men and their well-being and wellness. They're an amazing platform. And then number two is Together We Can. They support men with addiction, and now they've expanded into women. So they're an awesome charity, man. They do great work. They service 400 or 500 men a day,
Wow.
right? And so that's Together We Can. Kids Play Foundation. They support kids by keeping them away from drugs, gangs, and violence, by giving them mentorship, after school programs for sports and various things like that. And then the final one is the Honor House Society. It's a small charity based here in the New West, in New Westminster, BC, which supports veterans and first responders struggling with occupational stress injuries. So those are the 4 charities, and you know, the goal is to raise $1 million or more for my run across the country, and I'm very certain with the support of everybody across this country, we can make that happen, man. And
For
that's
sure.
my absolute goal, is to create as much noise, as much awareness, as much as I possibly can, not just in social media, legacy media, the 3-dimensional space, anywhere I can get more awareness. That's what my focus is.
Very cool. And if you missed all those, we'll have those linked in our comment section on YouTube and also in the show notes for the podcast. And so you'll be able to track all those things down. If you want to donate, we encourage you to donate and be a part of what Satch is doing. And so, Jeff, you got anything to throw in there before we wrap up?
I don't have a lot to throw in. I found myself lost in this story and just enjoying it. So it was good. That's a neat. Yeah. I hope you get to your $1 million, because that's very cool. So that's
Thanks,
good.
Yep.
The only question I had was, what made you pick the length of each day? Like, are you trying to break a record, or is that just something you think you can achieve?
So
'cause it
no,
just-
that's a good question. When I first started this 4 or 5 years ago, I was gunning for Al Howie's record. And so when I first started this, I was in a different mindset, right? I was in a very different headspace. I was kind of more angry. I was pretty toxic. I was pissed off, and so I was trying to find things to kind of get me fired up. And one of them was this record. And I thought, hey, man, I just ran 100K. How hard could it be to run 100 every single day? And but no, over the years, I've developed and trained my body. And then Dave Proctor broke the record, and which didn't really change my thoughts too much, other than when I did more research, I found out that to get the record to run across the country, you have to take a certain route. And if I took that route, that would take me away from a lot of the major cities. And so my fundamental goal isn't about pumping my ego or getting any type of record. It's to raise awareness and funds. And if I don't go through the GTA, I mean, that's not
Right.
smart.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to be going through Halifax, whereas the speed record doesn't allow for that. So I made some adjustments, and now we're kind of looking at 75 to 100, because I want to be able to do some press releases and engage with not politicians, but media and things like that. And when I get to Ottawa, I'd love to be able to create a lot of awareness when I'm in Ottawa, and hopefully we'll know who the Prime Minister is by that time. And
Yeah.
we got a few commitments from some people that they said they would run with me when we get there. So over the last 4 or 5 years, the goal is kind of shifted a little bit, but we're still doing a lot. So I wanted to do a significant number personally, because it would also challenge me to keep pushing myself. If I didn't push out a crazy number, man, I could run a marathon every single day 2 years ago. I could have ran across the country. But, I mean, I set a goal for 2025, and I thought 2 years ago I was able to run a marathon every single day. Well, what happens in 2 more years? Maybe I can do 80 or 100, right? So that was the thought process.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's cool. It's good. I've never driven across the country, but they say the prairies are really boring. So all the best to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, listen, man, I'll let you know. I'll send you some pictures and
Right.
It'll be great.
Yeah. So Jeff and I are based in New Brunswick. So where are you running through New Brunswick? Are you going through Moncton?
Oh man, I don't know off the top of my head, man.
Yeah, I know.
I think I might be. I think I'd like to go through Oromocto, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I got to double check the route, because if I can go through Oromocto, that'd be cool, because we got the gauge towns there, right? So
Yeah.
again,
Trans-Canada runs right down through Fredericton or Oromocto, so there's a good chance that is where you're running through. So
and man, I can't wait, man, because I've been connecting with so many veterans and first responders across the country for for the last few years, and it'd be cool to kind of get a lot of people coming out, man, and I'm not going to be ripping running fast, right? Like it's going to be slower pace. So it might be nice to just see people around and, connecting
For
with
sure.
people, man. The other cool thing is for me, and it's I'm a little hesitant to kind of say this because I'm not really about this, but I think, being the first person of color to run across the country is kind of cool. In the fact of just historical kind of relevance to it. I've done my research. I haven't found anyone else, so if anyone out there listening knows of someone who is of a different ethnicity who's run across the country, please let me know because I'd love to give them credit for it. But if they haven't done it, then it looks like I'll be the first and
That's cool.
hopefully not the last.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Man, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us, Such.
No worries,
We've
man.
just been. I love the conversation. I'm ready to go run through a brick wall. I'm pumped for you, and we're going to be cheering you on. I can't wait to see and track you as you get closer to the Maritimes. It's just going to be all downhill once you hit the Maritimes. You're going to be like, "This is the best." I'll just want to. You'll see what the other coast is like, and you'll just enjoy it so much.
Yeah, but man, the only worry is I'll be there around September. Hopefully the weather doesn't turn.
Oh, right. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. That's like
Right.
second summer, really. Like September is really the snow's not falling yet, so you should be okay.
No, but hey, man, when I do get through that area, please keep an eye out, and I'll have a team that's kind of managing the socials and all that kind of stuff because I'll be obviously, in a certain headspace. But
Yeah.
please do reach out and come out, man. Like join me
Love
for a
to.
couple kilometers or something.
Yeah, would love that. All right, man. Thanks so much. We're cheering you on, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
All right, Jeff. What a great conversation. I can't even quite put into words just the experience of talking with Sach. I think he's so intense. I love his perspective on helping people, and you can just see that like working it in a way to serve charities was like his purpose, right? Like that's why he was around.
Yeah,
And
man, you can tell he's got a real fire in his soul. Like you can almost see it in his eyes. Of course, if you watch the video, you will see it. If you don't, you're just listening. But he's got a super good passion about what he's doing, and good for him. And I definitely. I mean, he'd say that I could do it because he said that anyone could do it, but there's no way I could run 80 kilometers a day, that many days in a row. I just don't think I'd have the passion to do it. And I guess that's the difference, right? Like you gotta figure out your why, why you're doing this, and really have it drive you home. That's something I don't think about enough, and I don't have an answer for. Like why do I want to run ultra marathons, or I don't even know really the real answer. And so it's something that's it's an interesting perspective when you find someone who's found that answer and can tell you what it is, and then has that passion running behind it. So yeah, it was cool.
I think the takeaway for me was, especially around what you were mentioning there, that the starting with why is, I want to translate that to like weight loss. Like why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to do those things? And allowing those things to be the fuel to drown out the cry for carbs in the middle of the night, or that extra piece of pizza or whatever. I think to me that's such a helpful mindset to have. And like you, like I don't know why I do some of the running that I do. I do it because you do it, and I do it.
I think
And I do it.
I think part of my why has been to try to make this show legit, but I don't know that it's worked yet. Like, so yeah, I do it because you do it too,
Yeah.
because I want to be legitimate on the show, but it hasn't translated yet for sure.
Right. And so I think that's like a really helpful perspective to have. Like, as people, Natalie asks me that question all the time, actually. So it's like, why are you doing this? Like, why would you run 100 kilometers, or why would you go do an ultra? And sometimes I'm just like, what? Because I can, or because I want to, or because it's hard. And so I think sometimes we have good answers, sometimes we don't. But being thoughtful about it is important. So
Absolutely. Yep. I think it's good. Sounds like he chose good charities that mean a lot to him. And yeah, I hope I get to go out and see him when he's running through New Brunswick. Hopefully by then he'll be running slow enough that I can actually keep up with him. So
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I'm not even sure. Judging by the paces that he's training at, I'm not even sure on his abilities.
after he's almost dead, he'll still be way faster now.
Listen, Jeff, we need to work on our positive self-talk, and
We do.
so that's
Sure.
what. So we could keep up with him. Like
Yeah.
we'll tie his shoelaces together or something, and we will be able to keep up with him,
Yeah,
and we can do it.
and even if we can, we can still go and support him, and that's a good thing. You know,
Sure.
I'll bring
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
gravel bike and I'll bike beside him and like give him some water or something. You know.
Yeah, and so like we had said, we'll post some links to the charities that he's raising funds for, as well as his website and that sort of thing, because we do, if he could be involved and help in some way, we definitely want to lend our support to that. So we'll be cheering him on. So keep your eyes peeled through June, and then and throughout the summer. That'll be a fun run to hit August when it's just really hot, in July in the middle of the prairies.
I can't even imagine like running up over the Rockies like that. That to
Right.
me just blows my mind because he's gonna run into the cities, so he's gonna have to do that. He's gonna have to go through some pretty crazy terrain. So just in the middle of summertime, like good luck. Yeah, running through the prairies in July, it's gonna be an interesting show. I followed him on Instagram just tonight, so I'm interested to watch for sure.
Yeah. So we recommend you check him out. So in the meantime, everyone, keep on chasing those trails.